LNG TV, the official media partner for the World LNG Summit Awards 2021.
Hello, I'm delighted now to be joined here at the World LNG Summit by Tarek, Souki, Executive Vice President of LNG Marketing and Trading at Tellurian. Tarek, I know you're busy because you're going on stage shortly, so thank you for finding some time to come and talk to us.
My pleasure.
Let's reflect firstly on the last 12 months, because it's been a difficult time for most, but Tellurian have done exceptionally well. 9 million tonnes per annum of SPAs with 3 top-tier global buyers. So what's been the secret when so many other people have been struggling over the last 12 months?
So I think for us, it was just a question of finding what it is the market really wanted. We've been at it for quite some time, going back to the Cheniere days. So we've always had our ear to the ground about what the market wants, and we're not afraid to pivot as things change. So as you may know, we offered an equity model to start that was based on being integrated in the United States, having our own gas reserves. And it came at a time where a lot of companies were either not able to invest in upstream and LNG infrastructure because of ESG reasons, or they just didn't want to part with cash on their balance sheet in an era where there was underinvestment in the overall fossil fuel space. And so here we are now, and after about 4 years of that, we listened to the market saying, but if you sell something to us on our home index, that's very appealing. So TTF and JKM were very appealing to a number of groups. We probably could have sold, a lot more than we did. But now we're focused on the next stage. So we've been very fortunate that we heard the market correctly, because that doesn't always happen, and that we were able to deliver a product that they wanted.
So that next stage then, financing and moving forward, and what sets Tellurian apart, or how do you go about attracting financing?
Well, so I think we've, as a group, as a company, have always been very versed in how to finance different types of situations. Back in the day when Henry Hub contracts were non-existent, we created that structure, and then we created the financing around it. We're doing that again here. I mean, no project has ever been financed on the back of market-based projects in the LNG space. So we will use these contracts. We will work with our banking relationships that date way back to develop a new style of financing for LNG. And we've been working with banks for more than 12 months now to let them know that this is coming. And so when we showed up in the last couple of months with specific asks to go ahead and finance this, it wasn't a surprise to them. So we've prepared the ground ahead of time, and now we're working with them on the execution part. So with that, we expect to get our main banks committed by the year end, and then full financial commitments by sort of the end of March, so that we can give notice to proceed to our EPC contractor by April.
How much has the landscape changed in that situation over the last 18 months, 2 years?
I think if you went to a bunch of banks about 2 years ago and asked them to finance an LNG project on a commodity index, they probably would have told you no. But I mean, look, through COVID, through trillions of dollars of liquidity being flushed into the market by governments, I mean, banks have cash, particularly in the U.S., where they're a little bit more pragmatic about having to continue to develop industry, having energy security, being able to export energy around the world. The capital markets are there, and so we've been very fortunate to be able to have that access, and I think we will be able to finance the project.
And given what's happened over the last year within LNG, and given the whole market, spiraling prices, shortage of LNG, storage, extreme weather, which has given power outages, how's that then turned to sort of being the confidence in LNG as a fuel when you're going and trying to find backers and investors?
I'm glad you asked that, because I think the current environment is exactly the example we need for why LNG projects are so important, right? We need to be able to deliver gas around the world. I would say for nobody is it a good thing to have $30 prices, not for producers and not for consumers. And I can't afford to think short-termist when I'm building a project that's going to last for the next 25 to 40 years. So for me, I want to make sure that our customers feel good about the fact that they're getting LNG, the fact that they're getting gas at a reasonable price, that they can use that to expand their economies. I mean, we sort of take it for granted in the Western world that, energy is abundant and it's on a relative basis extremely cheap. And I think a lot of people are coming into this shock realization, particularly in Europe, somewhat in Asia, about what these volatile prices mean to their actual bottom line. So I think if ever there was a time where the importance of gas became more relevant, it's now. And you can see it firsthand, and it's hitting people in their pocketbooks, which that's usually what gets people moving, right?
And is it going to stabilize next year? What are your predictions?
It's hard to say. I mean, if more groups don't get behind building out new infrastructure, no, it will not stabilize. It will continue to have high prices. Or it may stabilize, but at the consequence of demand destruction, which is another thing that nobody wants, because that means shrinking economy, loss of jobs, loss of industry, and that's not good for anybody. I mean, the UK is a prime example. They're not, they've lost their CO2 industry now because the gas prices are too high.
And looking ahead to 2022, obviously this is a chance to reflect on this year being here at the World LNG Summit. But what are your hopes for 2022 with Tellurian?
Well, for us, obviously, first and foremost is getting all the financing finalized. Where, since it's being done this way for the first time, that always requires more work to get it done. But that, it will play itself out. I'm not worried about that. And then getting into expanding our project. So we have 3 more plants available after we finish the financing of the first 2. And, I would like to get those done in a timely fashion. And being the person in charge of more cargoes and delivering LNG to the market, I selfishly really want to have more cargoes to deliver to the market. So that expands the business that I currently run. So it's a fun business. Being back here and being in person and being around people and the people in our industry that we've grown to know and love over the years, it's been a breath of fresh air. And so being able to play in that arena with more volumes and having things to sell to the people that I've worked with for many years now, that really is what makes it enjoyable.
It certainly is. Nice to be here in person and to talk to you face to face. And thank you so much for finding some time to come and talk to us here on LNG TV.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.